Detection Collaborative, a detection dog training trio with Stacy Barnett.
Hi.
Robin Greubel.
Hey there.
And Crystal Wing.
What's up?
With humor and a big dose of theory, our trio talks practical training advice and features interviews with top trainers and scientists.
It's Canine Detection Collaborative.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Canine Detection Collaborative. I'm Robin Greubel, and I am here with my stupendous co-hosts, the fantabulous Stacy Barnett.
Hello.
And the amazeballs Crystal Wing.
Howdy, friends.
We just spent like the last half an hour catching up on our day and all of those sorts of things and talking about training stories. And one of the things that Crystal was talking about that I was like, wait a minute, we have to hit record. The thing before the thing.
I was very, very Susan Garrett of us.
Probably, yes.
I feel like everything goes back to Susan Garrett in some way.
She's been around a long time. She's talked about a lot of stuff.
She's pretty influential.
Mm-hmm. So Crystal was talking about, I think it was even in the last episode.
Yeah, I think it was the last.
About her tracking solution for Checkmate.
It fell apart today a little bit, so I can talk about that.
That's okay too, because training is never a straight line.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm probably by the time this airs, I will be done with my very first hunt test. So hopefully it wasn't a crash and burn.
Your what test?
Hunt test.
Oh, okay. That's not what
it's
sounded
not
like.
yet. Yeah, no.
Okay.
I heard head test, and I'm like,
hunt test. Yes.
you doing it right there?
I will enunciate.
Yeah, just checking.
So I think it was interesting because as I was watching my dogs, we've been throwing a lot of birds for them because, at hunt tests, they throw actual birds. And,
do they?
They do. And the thing that was really, really interesting is I went over to one of my mentors' houses and we were doing live flyers, which is live ducks. They will shoot during a hunt test and the bird drops and hopefully they're very, very good shots and the birds die. However, sometimes they aren't and sometimes you have live ducks. And my dogs have never been on live ducks. They've actually only been on kind of really scary ducks and the random chicken that gets out and sacrifices themselves to my dogs.
Oh,
I feel bad about, but dude, chickens are dumb.
oh man.
They're dinosaurs. Come on.
I know they're little pterodactyls or velociraptors, but cannot run faster than Bristol the Dash.
Sorry, I want to just expand on scary ducks. You remember Elizabeth throwing the duck and it went in two pieces.
Oh,
because we do. I mean, I got my ducks
and reused.
I mean, the ducks and the birds that I was using today have been in and out of the freezer numerous times.
And the dog comes back with the head.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm watching my dogs pick up ducks. And for one of the first times ever, Bristol comes running back to me, shaking the duck.
Oh.
Which in hunt tests, you're not supposed to do.
No.
Let's not. Shaking the duck.
No.
And that was one of the first times that I've actually seen Flash be snatchy.
Mm.
And so I tell her to drop it. And she's like, I'll let go, but I want it back. But I'll let go, but I want it back. And she's like literally snatching at the duck. And I'm like, huh. And so I started thinking about, one, it's an arousal problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know that. It's an arousal problem. But I also realized that I have a fantastic fetch and hold sequence when it's boring in bumpers.
Mm.
As soon as you put a duck on it or a dead duck or chicken or whatever, something with feathers, it's goes up a level. And then live worm duck is like bite sleeve. It's like, ooh, let's have a decoy, right?
Mhm.
And for my little Labradors, that's literally, I went back to drill work today.
Wow.
Foundations. Go pick it up, bring it back calmly with feathers. It's got feathers. I can't do worm ducks for you guys, for them, but I can do feathers. So for me, and then I started looking at the whole sequence, and it was their hold fell apart. That's why having all of those little tiny behaviors in that whole big long chain, no matter what the chain is, on a separate cue is so important, because I realized if they're running back to me and I can start cueing up the hold, it actually lowers the arousal enough, because they're like, oh, I'm supposed to hold it in my mouth. The swing behind me went away. All of these things kind of tightened back up. So I got back my dog now that it's retrieving something with feathers instead of a bumper.
It is a really cool phenomenon how fluency and arousal are so related, right? So until the dog truly has fluency, and this goes back to, if we go back to, we had a podcast on fluency way back when I think we were doing like single double digits or whatever episodes, and how the more fluent your dog is in a behavior, how the arousal has less effect on their performance.
Right. And it was funny. My mentor was talking, he's like, your dogs have holes. And I was like, okay, yes, my dogs have holes. I was going to get all huffy about the whole thing. And then I'm like, no, you're right. They have holes. So I do have holy dogs.
Like, yeah.
Holy dogs.
Holy dog. You know, until the dog is truly trained, I think they always have they have holes here or there. It's just a matter of you trying to figure out where those holes are or what those holes are.
Well, I even think about some of the stuff that we should be trying to set stuff up to find holes.
Yeah.
In our detection work, we should be doing that a lot, because bad guys aren't nice. Certifying officials sometimes make mistakes in setting up your hides, and odor never presents exactly the way you want it to. So always trying to find a hole.
I just think if people would start buying the scent goggles that you guys made, that they would have so much more, like, the success would be just through the roof. Oh, back order?
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you had a Kickstart or something like that. I don't know. Jumpstart?
No,
Kickstart? Yeah,
no.
Kickstart. That's what it is. Jumpstart's the car.
A Kickstart. No, they're back ordered. Yeah.
It also kind of gets me back to, I remember we were together early days again. And Crystal, you said something that kind of blew my mind a little bit as we were talking about something, and you had said how, because there's always this kind of like this trend to try to train something in low arousal. And you said something that I was like, huh. And it made my brain kind of smoke a little bit and kind of spin around. And I'm like, let me think about this a little bit longer. You said you like to train in a higher arousal state, and like you're teaching in a higher arousal state. And I don't know if I'm hoping I'm not misquoting, and correct me if I am, because that's entirely possible. So I'm waiting to find out if I'm misquoting or not. But it was just a really interesting thought.
So Quinn, my heart dog, he basically learned most of his life in high arousal.
Yeah.
Because the sport we do is a very high arousal sport. And then with Nakota and Yukon and then Checkmate, Nakota, I went very low arousal, Skinner box, laboratory, learn everything here. Then we slowly take it outside. We take it to the next place. We take it to the next place. It's very methodical. And I felt that he wasn't handling challenges and stress and environments quite as well as what Quinn did. They're different dogs. Okay. So fast forward to Yukon. Well, special brain. So then let's fast forward to Checkmate. And for him, I did a balance. And I have found that the things that I taught in higher arousal have held up better in higher arousal environments. The things that I have tried to do very slowly in lower arousal haven't been holding up as well. And then with Radish, my most recent kind of experiment with this, so I taught her a down in very high arousal. So it was all through play. It was a dog bed, like slamming her body down onto this dog bed. And it was so much fun. Like she could be 3 feet in the air and I could say plots and she would hit it hard and, and then be right back to a toy. And so what I find now that's interesting is I wish that I would have taught my sit in high arousal because my trained final response is a sit. So when she gets really highly aroused, she downs. So that's been a fascinating learning thing for me. So knowing the event and the experience that I'm going to be doing these behaviors in, if they're going to be in very high arousal situations, I have found that in the foundation of teaching them in higher arousal and introducing it very quickly in high arousal, that it's holding up better long term.
So I didn't totally misquote. So that's awesome.
It's just experimental kind of stuff that I'm playing with. Because I thought, with Quinn, he didn't know all these multiple marker words. He didn't know location-specific markers. He knew clicks was when I was shaping something. And so he knew that mark meant that he was going to get something good somewhere. I could throw it. I could kick it. He could catch it. He could bite it off of me. Mark meant everything. It's like somebody saying, yes, I'm just marking the behavior that's good. And that's what he knew. That was it. And now I've got probably 18 words that mean different things that help me control the arousal levels and the placement of the reinforcers to help me teach behaviors faster and be able to get more of a vocabulary for my dogs to understand that words mean something.
Yeah. Because when you said that, it made me go, huh, and then maybe think a little bit. And I remember retraining powder on containers. And as a part of that, I was playing around a little bit with getting her freeze alert on a container at a higher arousal and then bringing it down, higher arousal, bringing it down. And I see the behavior that she gives me, that it does hold up really well in competition with a dog who kind of lives her life in a high arousal state. And like when you said those words, it just kind of made me go, huh.
That's like the biggest compliment. Thanks, friend.
Well, and now I'm questioning my life choices, right?
Well, you guys are at the top of the game, so anything that I can do to help always makes me feel good. So that's cool.
Dude, it made my brain hurt a little bit because it was so contrary to kind of what I've always kind of learned. And when you kind of think about it and you see the results of it, the other thing that's really interesting, you were talking about your train final response, like with Prize, with her refine, right? A lot of that, it's all been ball reward, right? For that behavior, all the way from, Robin teaching me how to do it without even finding a person, just building that refine behavior, which goes back to kind of what Robin was saying, like she's got everything on cue. Like you taught me how to create that refine behavior, like that recall the down is called return. That's Prize's cue. I say return, she runs and lays down. Having that cue is so huge. And I did that with a ball reward the whole time. And I wonder, this is where, this whole conversation about arousal and stuff, like I wonder how much of that, the fact that she does well with it, has to do with the fact that I trained it in a high arousal state. And I'm kind of going back to like what you said way back when, Crystal, and had me kind of thinking a little bit in terms of when we need to kind of like the whole stuff that you were talking about, Robin, with like trying to figure out, the dogs come out in a high arousal and it's like, now it's harder.
Mm-hmm. And
I just kind of had all of a sudden I had some dots connecting. So it's just, that's cool crap.
Well, and I think it's one of those things that I think about for me, because I'm thinking about some of the precision work, like my sit and stare and even the hold with the dogs and some of that stuff. I look at some of it and think, okay, I have to teach the concept, right, in low arousal, because I need them to be able to think to a certain extent. But maybe in low arousal too long and I need to raise the arousal level faster.
We're always told to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Joe Rosie talks about it too. And we talk about, she has a couple really good posts on it. And we had Joe Rosie on the show a while back. And I also think about where I train is really important. I try to get out in the environments that I'm going to be in life with the dog. So if it's, like with Radish, I had her out at Old St. Charles where it's lots of people and we're doing our loose leash walking and our little finds with the Kong pieces. We're in the environments in the very day one, like in the very beginning, because especially as puppies, I feel like they're so open to they're just dry sponges.
Yep.
And they're just open to learning and taking everything in. And they don't have the adolescent fear periods or whatever. So I don't think that's argumentative, but people are saying they don't have them, but whatever. They don't have all of the prefrontal cortex bullcrap of adolescence happening yet. And so I'm talking about the normal dog that doesn't have any sort of environmental issues, the dog that's happy to be out doing the thing. Okay. So I'm not talking about all dogs, but for the ones that are made for the job, whether it's a free dog like Radish or a well-bred dog that's made for the sport, I'm right out there where we're going to be. That I think has been a really big game changer from what I've seen from like Nakota, who I taught everything in the house. Everything was in the house. And then I took it out. I'm seeing such a huge difference. And he's a solid dog. Don't get me wrong, like super solid dog. He could do all the things, but I'm just seeing the dogs are able to handle those environments with ease. And it's just like everything, it's just habituation. Like everything around them is just noise and nothing grabs their attention that shouldn't, because they're like, yeah, whatever. This is where I grew up. Like if you put me in the inner city, I struggle. Put me in like a casino environment, I struggle because those are places that I'm a fish out of water. Like I'm going to notice everything because I'm not comfortable there. So I think that's part of it. And I think those places don't create the arousal later. So I think it's so important to try to find locations as well as controlling the arousal levels. Like, and when I'm saying that it's in high arousal, I teach everything through play pretty much.
Not frenetic. More in drive. It's just kind of.
Yeah, it's very in drive. So the arousal versus drive thing quickly is the arousal is the excitement level. It's the energy they're bringing to it. The drive is the focus they're bringing to it. So if the dog is just energetic without the focus to do the thing, then they're not going to learn it. But if you're balancing that, and especially as young dogs, I really feel like you can tackle that, the interest and the focus on the thing because they enjoy the play, whether it's food play, toy play, social play, then you can bring the behaviors into that while they're super stoked and into it. And then I leave it. Like I get it where I like it, a couple reps of it, and then I don't do it again for a week or so. Like I don't even touch it. And then it's amazing how you come back to it. Like today, I took Radish out to do Sindaway. I haven't done a Sindaway with Radish in, oh gosh, I don't know how long. It's been so long. And it was gorgeous. It was just perfection. She was high arousal again because I taught Sindaway in very high arousal because I know that that's going to be a very arousing thing to run really fast. And I don't want to do that slow and controlled necessarily. I want you to be super energetic about it. And so it's the grandma's law kind of thing. Like if you can get into heel position, well, now you get to go run really fast. I'm going to throw that ball as far as I can. And she was stoked. I was like, we did 2 and I was done. Like, sweet mama, that was pretty. But again, I think that's another example of teaching a behavior in higher arousal instead of, and I have pieces and parts. She has concepts of things. Like we have location-specific markers, and that helps me teach that very quickly. So that's also part of it, is because I do have other pieces and parts, it helps the whole concept come together, and I'm able to use the drive and the play and the arousal to teach it then.
So it's kind of like, I'm just trying to pull this apart a little bit. If you're doing that through the fun aspect of it, and you've got a dog in drive, that means they're really enjoying it. And the more they enjoy what they're doing and the whole process of it, the more they're going to want to do it. Kind of thinking about Brava and her, like I go out in the backyard, she drives me freaking nuts because she wants to play the obedience game. I've like never had a dog that like, I'm like, I love obedience. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Actually, it's kind of fun. So I go out and she comes and I'm like, I can't make eye contact with her because as soon as I do or make like a happy noise or voice, she runs and gets her toy and she runs over, she throws it at me and then does it down. Like, I'm plotzing, kick my ball. She's saying, can I please play this obedience game with you? So she's literally pushing me to, because then the whole thing, you start with plots and then you go to foos and then, you do all that. And she's nuts over it, but I'm also doing it. Everything's in high arousals, like, because it's heavy with the toy reinforcer. And I wonder if that's a piece of it. And again, I'm just curious. I'm just wondering if that's part of it. And then my brain's going in 12 directions. You're making my head hurt today.
Well, part of the struggle that I'm seeing right now, and Denise and I talked to Denise a lot, and we were talking about this too, that we have a lot of kind of the force-free side of trainers that I wish that I had more depth of different kinds of trainers. But what I'm seeing a lot in the force-free community, because that's the one that I'm in a lot, is a lot of people that are reinforcing one-to-one.
Yeah.
And they stay there way too long and struggle to figure out how to reduce reinforcement. And then you have to swing that pendulum. So the problem that I had with tracking, I'll just recap it from the last episode. The thing before the thing, it was I realized I was struggling with the corners. He has to do footprint tracking and IGP, so nose in every step. It's obedient tracking. It's not air scent. It's truly obedient tracking. For instance, when he gets to a corner, if he was to sniff one sniff left off the track, then he's going to lose a half a point. And so let's say the turn goes to the right and he puts his nose in the turn to the right, but then as all dogs do, they naturally check one back to the left, he loses a half a point. So it's very obedient. So that's what you think about. It's obedience tracking. So I think that's what you refer to it. Yeah. So knowing that, they have to be very clear on it. They can't go too fast. So I'm like, okay, I'm struggling on corners. He's going too fast and he's missing it. And then he's having to circle back. So I'm like, okay, the corner is what I need to work on. No, it's not. Not the corner. It's too fast. Okay, it's too fast. But why is it too fast? Well, because he's not putting his nose in every footprint. Okay, that's really the problem. So then at the start, at the scent box, you know what? He's kind of blowing past that. Okay, so what's the problem? He's not even ready in the right mindset. So that's where I came to all of that. So then I'm working on mindset for myself and him of how not to be conflict with putting the harness on and, getting him thinking about sniffing thoughts. And that's all really going well still. So that all held up. But you know what failed me? Articles. He has been the most glorious dog of articles. When he gets to an article, it's the most beautiful thing because that's what he's been doing is hunting for articles. And he's like racing through the track to get to the article. Well, now he's tracking and he didn't do the article. And I thought, okay, that's just information, no big deal. So of course, now I've got Emily on the phone.
Yes.
Emily Lawrence that we interviewed before. Emily, hello, friend. Like, help me out here. She's like, oh, that's normal. I'm like, I know it's normal, but I'm kind of getting close to trial and I don't have time.
Oh, it's normal. How do I
to
fix
make
it?
a lot of mistakes. Yeah, I don't have time to make a lot of mistakes. Like we're going to have to balance. It's always a pendulum. Like when one thing gets better, one thing kind of falls. And so knowing that, and then we went through the whole reinforcement system of what I do for articles. And I had her just busting my gut on that one. Because the way I describe it, she's like, you're going to have to fade all of that, right? That was her response. So when he downs on the article, somehow he's trained me. And I didn't realize it till I explained it to her. He has somehow trained me that when he downs on the article, I'm on the track. And I want you to imagine you put your chin like down. So you make the double chin. Okay. Like, so if you're making the funny face with the chin down, so I do that. And then I can put my head to the side. And now I bring my hands up like a T-Rex. And I think like really big, heavy top thoughts. And I think like skinny legs. And then I do like, I call it the Oompa Loompa. So I kind of go bounce, bounce, bounce back and forth over the track as I come to him. And then I go bounce, bounce, bounce. Another few bounces to him. And he puts his head back and he like looks at me and his tongue hangs out and his tail starts wagging. And I'm like, here I come, here I come. And I don't know why I started doing this. And I didn't even realize it until she asked me.
That's really
And she's like, well, how do you reinforce the article? I'm like,
I do the Oompa Loompa with the T-Rex arms and the double chin.
T-Rex double chin Oompa Loompa. What, isn't that what you do when you reinforce
like
an article at a
every
track?
time.
She's like, would you record that tomorrow, please?
Yes, and can you share it? Oh my gosh.
I'll be sending that to her today. So anyway, when I get to him, then, it's the food one after another and all the nice words and still the Oompa Loompa, like, yeah. And then, we do our whole thing, whatever. So she's like, we have to fade all that. I'm like, well, you know what I've actually figured out? All I have to do is when he downs on the article, if I look at him and I do the double chin thing and the smile, his tail starts going. So that's really all he needs. So I probably shouldn't say it out loud because now a judge will see me and be like, oh, double chin, half a point. Handler help, double chin. The article started falling apart. And it's that balance now of how am I going to make the articles as important as the track? Because what happened was today, he went to the article and he stood over it. And he didn't he used to pounce it. And you're not supposed to pounce it, okay? But it's adorable. So I'm like, whatever. He pounces. I'll lose the half a point. Take a point. I'm fine. I'll take a point, okay? But he didn't pounce. He stopped over it and he looked at it. And then he kind of slowly looked back at me. And I gave him a look encouragement, like, yeah, you're going to down on the article, right? And he went, oh, encouragement. Don't do it. Keep tracking. Okay, Mom. And so he just kept tracking. Well, that was the end of the track. There's no more track anyway. So I had to stop him. And then I'm like, buddy, where is it? And he turned around like, it's right here. So I gave him the Oompa Loompa. And I was like, okay, this is information too. So again, there's always that kind of pendulum going, but it's the thing before the thing. So now it's the tracking that he's really into. And so now the article is keeping him from tracking. So the track itself has become so reinforcing because I put so much bait on the track as a lured track. So then today I took some of the lure off the track and then his track fell apart again. But his articles were gorgeous. So balance.
And I was at Hold the Line earlier this year where I was teaching a class. And I got to hear Steve White talk about trade-offs. And one of the parts of being a dog trainer is understanding that when you're balancing complex chains, everything is a trade-off. And you just have to know what your trade-off is so you can go back and balance everything out. And so where we started with the, oh my gosh, my dogs are chomping ducks, to now I've spent so much time perfecting it on a bumper because that means I don't have to handle gross dead ducks.
Yeah.
Means now it kind of clicked as to why my mentors and a lot of other people who do duck dog stuff, like they live, die, breathe, all of it, their dogs are always on birds. They're not using bumpers unless it's for blinds.
Which goes back to the whole training and higher arousal.
High arousal, but so the dogs are like, okay.
Or in drive.
In drive, right.
Yeah.
But also you have to be careful of having the finished thing and having mistakes. That's why we use Kong in detection or something else first to make all the mistakes on. So then when you get to your final thing, so like when I teach hold, I don't teach hold on an IGP dumbbell.
Right.
So I teach on other stuff. But then in Mondio Ring, you don't know what you're going to get for a retrieve item. It can be anything except for glass or metal.
Wow.
So then you teach it on glass and metal? No.
Right. Well, no, fun thing is so Flash is getting ready to turn 2 at the end of this year.
You're wrong. Nope. No.
I know, right? Oh my gosh.
Nope, you're wrong. I hate to tell you you're wrong, but you are.
But I am now starting to get all of the little photos of me teaching her to hold as a little puppy.
Oh.
And to see all of the weird stuff I made her. Here, take this in your mouth and hold it. Yes, even the ragu spaghetti jar.
I think I've seen that picture. That was pretty epic.
It was pretty cute. That and the little back massager. So it looks like she has these two blue fangs, two or three blue fangs coming out of her mouth. Yeah. And, pick up and hold the thing. She'll pick up and hold, or she'll hold practically everything until it's a really heavy chicken.
Your chickens are really heavy, by the way. It's like, here, let's practice with a goose.
And this chicken was still partially frozen. And so I'm looking at him and I'm like, do I need to work on your neck muscles that actually just holding the bird? And it's funny because Bristol's sitting, which goes back to, do they have the physical strength,
right,
to hold and carry a really incredibly heavy bird for that long of a time? And now, okay, we're doing stuff in my yard, so it's not that far. But it was just one of those things as I'm standing there and I'm watching this, and I purposely did this, right? So I have like monster Godzilla chicken, the medium weight chicken, and a duck. And the duck compared to the two chickens is like nothing. And I started paying attention as to when they came back in to sit and hold, what was their head position down to that thing. And both dogs with the big heavy chicken were like, Crystal, double chin.
Oh, yeah. They got to make the noise. I'll have to share that video.
Absolutely.
The duck, they're all like, here, take the duck. I want to go again. And I was like, oh, that has everything to do with the weight of the bird. And so it's just one of those. And so actually tomorrow when I do this again, I'll still get out like the same equivalent of Godzilla duck and or Godzilla chicken and the medium chicken and a duck, because I think it's important for them to be able to pick up all three and handle it. But it's just interesting when you start thinking about when we're slicing behaviors, whether it's your Crystal's tracking stuff and the things before the thing before the thing. I mean, now we're back like 4 or 5 steps in a chain.
Yeah.
And that's one of the conversations that I have with trainers or people who are aspiring to be trainers. And I tell them a lot of being a trainer is recognizing when a dog does a behavior for the first time and it's in your chain. And you're like, that was weird. Not going to have an, oh my God, the sky is falling moment. They do it the second time and you actually stop and scratch your head and go, where in my chain did that become acceptable? Because that's not acceptable, or it's going to lead me down the path of torture and despair. And then go back in your progression plan to the place where you know that they know how to do it right. You have the data to say they are fluent in this situation. And that's where you start to balance your trade-off of making poor decisions. That's the sign of a trader.
So I've got 3 things. Sorry, they're all over the place too.
I got to write something down because I also want to talk about the thing before the thing in nose work, because there's a big thing before the thing.
Do you want to go ahead? I've got 3 things. I wrote them down. I mean, it goes along with what she just said.
Go for that, and then I'll rewind.
Okay, because the other 2 are rewinds. So one is really fast. I just got Marketplace, one of those push-pull sleds. It's like you put weights on the middle of it, and you use it for fitness. And you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
So I got that for neck strength. So Dad and I were kind of looking at it, and we're going to put a leg sleeve on it to specifically work on neck strength so that they can push the sleeve on the sled to be able to push and pull to work on neck strength. So I'm kind of excited about this. So stay tuned for that one. I'll tell you how it goes. That was a fast one.
You can order that from Crystal, by the way.
Right.
I'm kind of stoked about it. I think this might be a cool thing. It's mainly like bite sport stuff. I get it, but whatever. So you know the Einstein quote about the insanity? Like you're doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, or something like that. So Nancy and I, when we were at the Jens SWDI seminar that you hosted up there in Iowa, he had talked about the neural pathways. And we both at the same time were like, it's like insanity erosion. And so thinking about that, when you picture erosion, like you picture when there's a storm in a driveway or something and the water erodes that little path, and it only takes like that first little trickle, but then the second trickle will follow behind in that same path. And the next one follows behind in that same path.
Yep.
And then once you have that little divot going, it is really hard to reroute that water.
Yes.
And so we've been talking a lot about that. Every time that you're rehearsing that thing, you're just deepening that groove.
Yes.
On Instagram last night, something that really hit me was this lady talking about parenting. And she talked about setting boundaries. And she said that you're kind of just nagging your kid or just giving them consequences instead of setting boundaries, even though you think you're setting boundaries. And the example she gave, and I wish I knew who it was, I give her kudos, was her kid went in and pushed all the buttons on the elevator. And so when they got to go to the elevator the next day, she told her kid, do not touch the elevator buttons. Like, that made me angry. Don't do that. So what does a kid do? They go in the elevator, all the buttons. Well, then it's nagging. I can't believe you did that. Bar, bar, bar. And she said, that's not a boundary. A boundary is when the other being does nothing. That's when you set a correct boundary. She said, so the next time we went to the elevator, I told my child, I did not like it when you pushed all of the buttons on the elevator. Therefore, I'm going to stand in front of those buttons. So they both got into the elevator. The child was not allowed to get to the buttons. So there was no conflict because the boundary was set. They can't push the buttons. The child could do nothing. So that was a boundary. And so I've really been thinking about that when it comes to this erosion insanity idea. I hate using a leash. Like, my hands hurt a lot, and using leashes are very aversive to me. And I'm finding now, because I'm losing control in so many aspects because of that erosion insanity, I've allowed him to go shopping and go grab that toy or go sniff that thing of grass and then come back to me. I've allowed him to have so many choices without giving him the correct path and setting the correct boundaries straight away. Now, granted, I'm going to give myself some grace here. I decided years ago that he wasn't going to compete. And so I didn't need the control, and I didn't care if he went shopping. And now I care very much. You can't go shopping. You can't go bite the person's sleeve because they're wearing it and then come back to me to say, hey, that was fun. Now let's go do some more. Like, that's not authorized. So it's something that has been really heavy in my mind lately. And I think the erosion insanity visual has really helped me out. And then when she talked about boundaries as being something that the other being does nothing, really also gave me some pause and some thought. And so sometimes it's as simple as adding a leash, but now he can't access it. So now the question is, how long do I have to manage this? And can I overcome this erosion insanity that I created? So that's kind of where I was going from what you were saying, Robin. It's off a little, but still on.
It's still on. Well, and it's
arousal problems. It's all arousal problems.
It's all arousal. And like the stuff with the dogs today, it's something that I recognize if I allowed them to continue that behavior, I'm going to fight it for the rest of their career. So literally, this was one of those things where I'm like, okay, I'm stopping everything else I'm doing and we are addressing this now, even if it's for the next.
Clean behavior chain right there, right?
Yes, right there. We're done. And I'm just going to clean it up. And that's.
Stacy, I'm sorry, but it flows so nicely from what we just said. My last thing I was going to not say, and I was going to have you go. Sorry, my fault. The thing I started earlier when I was talking about Denise, something we were talking about was a lot of the positive trainers are reinforcing that one-to-one too much. So you do the behavior, you get the reinforcement. Do behavior, how do you start to vary that? How do you start to lengthen that? And this is that problem that I'm running into now because I'm setting the boundary of the leash, but I'm also having to balance and become that I am more fun now. So I'm having to go really heavy reinforcement again to build my fun, but I still don't have a consequence for him if he decides to go shopping. Right now, it's a management of don't go do it. So now the conversation comes in, where do you create that? Because the erosion insanity is there, how do you actually overcome that? And can you overcome it when it's been grooved in so deep for so long.
Yes. So think about it. I'm going back to Robin's, the whole thing with Dash and the victory pee. I mean, that deep desire to pee on stuff and then to change that, the work that you did to change that into more of a reinforcer,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
that changed that whole chain.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's different, but I'm kind of thinking of it in terms of, let's say, this is where my brain went that way, is when you have a behavior chain, and I'm going to use nose work, for example. Let's say we have somebody who's like, I never have any intention to trial at all. So I'm kind of going down that path because that's kind of where you kind of started with checkmate, right? And, I'm just going to do this for fun, whatever. And the dog goes out and they pee in every search just because who cares? And now you're like, wow, I want to actually compete. Now you have to change that behavior chain. And I think if I were to coach somebody to do this, I'd be like, all right, let's simplify the search. Let's shorten the amount of time that the dog is searching, and put the peeing on cue. So you're taking that out of the behavior chain. And if the dog pees in the search area, just quiet consequences like, okay, well, now we're just going to stop searching. We've created so much value for searching that searching itself is valuable. So now we're just going to kind of stop for a moment, take a little bit of a time out, and not harsh or anything, but just kind of remove the dog out of the search area. I think pretty soon the dog would quickly figure out that game's over when they're peeing in the search area. So if I kind of think about it also in terms of like just even focus, because building focus into my searching, now I know this isn't the same as what you're talking about, but this is my world, it's nose work, right? Building focus in my searching is a part of a clean behavior chain. And if I don't have the focus, I stop the search. And it doesn't mean that my dog isn't searching. It means that my dog's not searching to the quality that I like my dog to search in. So if I bring Powder out and I feel like she's not 100% focused on just seeking target odor, I stop the search. A lot of people be like, why did you stop the search there? I'd be like, well, it wasn't as engaged or as focused as I would like, which goes to the thing before the thing, because I have to back up and say, I didn't have you fully engaged before I even brought you to the start line. So I think all of that kind of comes together. It's like when you start seeing those pieces where it's not, they start to check out, they start to do whatever. I don't think there's a problem with just saying, hey, we're stopping the activity right now. That's the consequence. And we're going to back up. What can I do to get you, set you up for success by maybe shortening the behavior chain itself? And how do I make sure that I have you fully engaged before you start? And I don't know if that's a similar thing of what you're kind of dealing with, but I know if it was nose work, that's what I would be telling people to do.
So there's two parts to that, because that was my tracking conundrum. And so that's also my protection one. But this is where Deb Jones got in my head. She made a comment on my post about the tracking one and said, it sounds like with your focus that he is internally focused on doing the things he wants to do that are reinforcing to him versus task focused, which is the job that you want to do. And so that's that speaking to that arousal piece.
Yeah.
And so when you really think about that, because that's what I'm teaching in my seminar next week, well, it's after whatever, this is recorded now. It's all about engagement, empowerment, and focus. And so I've been obsessed about this topic.
What I would say is if you have like the win-win situation is where you get that internal focus is the same as the task focus, where you make that task so intrinsically motivating that at that point, they're one and the same.
And sometimes you can't. And that's what I'm struggling with. That's my plight.
I mean, that's ideal, right? And you can do it totally with searching.
I think it's doable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The intrinsically pleasing, because I think one of the things that we spend a lot of time trying to think about how to take this other little sentient being that has their own motivators and agendas and things that they like and they have fun to try and get them to think that the tasks that we want them to do are fun.
Find a Q-tip for me, sweetheart, please.
Exactly. I mean, oh my gosh, let's go find dead guys.
But at the same time, though, we're talking about olfaction. Have you seen the video going around recently about the new release where they're talking about the olfaction, how it's going to the back part of the brain where vision is?
No.
It's really cool. Oh, I'm so sorry I didn't share it.
Yeah.
No, it was in a little rabbit hole of mine, but it's really cool to see the brain scan. And it was showing how the whole back part of the brain lit up, and that's where vision is.
Wow.
And to see the difference between the human and the dog. So that's where nose work, it's what they live and breathe. Like that is what dogs are. And so we're just tapping into the thing that they already are. Like that's already intrinsic in them. Their olfaction is just unbelievable, as we know.
Right. That's why purpose-bred dogs, because if they come with all of the other stuff, oh my gosh, we like toys. We want to do all the things. I mean, we won't even talk about bird dog work for this example, because that's what they want to do. And I'm just trying to put guardrails around it.
That's new with biting. They just want to bite the decoy.
Yeah. They want to bite the decoy.
The control work is what's so hard.
Right. And so how do you get all of that stuff in there? And that's why it's actually it's a craft, because you're trying to modify all of the stuff of this intrinsically little sentient furry being that we then love and put all of our ego into, that it's hard.
I mean, look at my tracking situation. Now that I've lured the track so heavily, the article fell apart because the value was depleted from the article because the track itself was so reinforcing.
Yeah.
And so you think about our TFR. So searching is so reinforcing that, look how many dogs will catalog. They'll go through and go, oh, there's one. Oop, don't show her yet. I want to go find some more first because that might be the last one, but let's go look and sniff some more. And I'm not saying what they're, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
that was a Midwest dog. Did you notice that dog said, oh? That's a dog from the Midwest. That is not an East Coast dog. That is a Midwest dog right there. Oh, there's another one.
The Midwest dog said, oh, let's go look over there, buddy. Bobby Joe, baby Sue.
Oh my gosh, you guys. We kind of started this whole entire episode and it went on this little weird kind of rambly thing, which was fun.
Yeah.
But what are takeaways?
Well, it was kind of a thing before the thing, but then it became arousal, and then it became kind of just our struggles.
It's kind of a cool
erosion insanity. And
right. But I also think in recognizing a behavior that is a behavior you don't want in your chain and then having to go back and fix it.
Yeah.
And identifying exactly what's causing it is the struggle. That's the thing before the thing. And so many of the times, what is it? Arousal.
It's usually a staging
Arousal.
Nose works.
Yeah.
Or holy dogs.
Holy dogs.
Holy dogs in a row.
Holes in your foundations.
And dirty D's. A lot of times there's dirty D's.
That's the next episode. We'll talk about dirty D's.
Yeah, when you dirty your D's with holy dogs.
Yeah, I
with
know.
Over arousal.
Oh, that's like the entire
I had someone
right there.
Someone asked me today, they're like, well, so when you record a podcast, like what happens if you like make mistakes? Do you go back and edit? And I'm like, no, we just hit record. We just go. I'm like, there's not, we just go. We just go. Record.
Okay. Can I share a podcast story today? I think I shared it with you guys already.
Yes, please.
So like I said, I live in my little closet, and I was at Purina today, which is like a big dog central, right? And I was walking by and this lovely lady like comes and grabs me. And she's like, I'm a super fan. I'm like, oh, what? I actually said, you're Crystal Wing. I'm like, I am ? She's like, you don't know me, but I'm a super fan.
Who are you?
And she had cancer and she has one lung. And I was just so inspired by her. And I just wanted to give her a little shout out and let her know how much that meant to me today. And thank you for that, because that little gift of kindness, I was having a really rough day and you were the light in my day. And then speaking to you guys is always another light in my day. But I just wanted to give her a little thank you. That was really special. I even asked if I could have a selfie.
Awesome.
Isn't that how it goes? That someone comes to you and says, I'm a fan. And you're like, can I have a selfie?
I know, right?
I don't know. So yeah. So thank you for that. That was really special.
Okay. You sent that, and that was another one of those. Can we just put that in a little happy file for when you're having a bad day?
Yeah. That's why I wanted that photo, because I'm like, that went straight to my happy folder. And I was just, wow.
Okay, ladies. I think we'll just recap the episode in like a really weird sort of 30-second melt.
Yeah, we kind of did. We kind of, yeah.
It is.
It's kind of like training. It's not linear.
No.
We bounced, but we kind of still.
It was all on its own. It was like in a.
Well, and
it was aroused
in a directional.
Well, and people have to think about, I mean, literally for me, this whole entire episode has actually been almost what the thought process is to go to figure out what the thing before the thing before the thing is.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're having to ask all of these questions to be like, okay, well, this is where I start to solve my problem.
Yep.
Even when you find it, it doesn't mean it's going to fix it. It just means that it's going to make a new problem. And when you have a new problem, you get to solve new things and teach new things. Yay, us.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for listening. I know Crystal's going to be in Wisconsin in November. Wisconsin. I'm in Indiana for a part of October. I'm also in Tulsa at the end of October for a cadaver dog seminar for 2 days. If anybody wants to be there, reach out. Stacy, you have all sorts of stuff going on.
Well, Crystal and I will both be at Fenzi Camp.
Correct.
Beginning of October.
Oh, you should totally come to Ohio then. Let's go.
Yeah, everybody needs to be in Ohio.
It's going to be pretty
And Nancy
cool.
is going to be there too. Yay!
Classes are also starting October 1st. So I've got a class on kind of like the introduction to nosework elements, like teaching the dog how to search exteriors, novel interiors, vehicles, getting into containers, a little bit of buried, etc. Then I have a class on converging odor and another class that is just kind of like all the foundational elements come together. So
that's a lot of classes.
Yeah, 3 classes every term.
I'll have webinars and things this fall, plus the other thing, which I'm probably announcing on October 1st. So
always a lot of stuff. So we'll keep you guys posted.
We have stuff. So thanks everybody for listening in. And as always, go train.
Canine Detection Collaborative.
We appreciate the time you spend with us. If you liked this episode, not only should you follow us so you don't miss the next one, but please also rate and review us in your favorite podcast app. For info on collaborating with us, go to k9detectioncollaborative.com. That's K9detectioncollaborative.com, where you can find our socials and pick up our latest monthly freebie. Join us again to talk training in the next episode.